When you land on our planet, what will be the procedure? Will you land near Darryl and then have a TV interview?
No. The channel may be present when I land my ship. But with regard to the idea of the Sasani initiating open contact with Earth, it's going to happen in a very different way.
Oh, do tell.
No. Just be prepared for the unexpected.
Well, it definitely seems like because of the high vibrational level that you operate on and the potential for psychotic shock that people could experience if they were to actually physically see you. Is it more likely that these kinds of interactions will happen telepathically in a sense, or when a person is in an altered state and they're at a higher vibrational
level? That will be part of the beginning. But remember when we said that many actual interactions take place in a slightly altered version or frequency of physical reality?
Yes.
It's going to happen. It's going to feel at first a little bit more like a dream. But it will be real.
And what happens when someone encounters your consciousness in general?
Well, it depends on who that someone is.
Well, clearly they would have to be of higher vibrational state to be able to have the encounter at all.
Or altered enough that they can handle it, which is what I'm saying, is you may find that the actual beginnings of open contact with my civilization and a few others will take place in an altered state that may feel like a dream and then slowly over time start to crystallize into something more familiar to you as physical reality.
And the impact on the individuals that have contact with you?
It will open up their ability to be inspired by higher frequency information tenfold.
It will be life-changing, I would assume.
Absolutely. You will never be the same again.
I think many of us aren't the same again even now.
This is true, but this will be a magnitude beyond what you can imagine right now. You will start to break down the concept of physical reality in a very particular way and start to perceive things more multidimensionally in a very particular way.
So you will rub off on us in a sense.
Yes.
And can you tell us something about your parents and siblings? And are any of them involved in the current Earth Contact program?
Well, we've already mentioned the idea that our father is a teacher of first contact specialists, and so he is very involved in that sense. My mother is, again, more involved in the idea of the natural construction of artificial environments in which certain scenarios can be played out before they are actually tried out in what you would consider to be true physical reality. Do you understand this?
Yes.
Simulations. She constructs simulations of realities for others to practice in. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
All right.
And similar to Anima in a different way, though, because she's more...
Very different way. Anima is a social engineer. That's not the same thing.
And what is your relationship to Anima?
Colleagues. After first contact is made, you need social engineers to help you go through the process of acclimating to the open contact.
Is she related to you?
No, not in the way you mean it.
Okay. And siblings? Do you have siblings?
I do.
Do you feel like sharing anything about them?
It's not about what I feel. It's about what's appropriate in the timing. We will save that for another story.
Okay. Yes, because we do really enjoy it when you share your stories with us.
All right.
And your father, can you tell us any more about him and what?
Well, as we have said, he's one of the longest lived on our planet, over 1,000 years old at this point. The idea is that he conducts many different kinds of experiences that allow first contact specialists to practice their art, their craft, without actually causing any kind of damage to the real civilization. So he takes you through a kind of telepathically locked scenario that seems completely real. We allow ourselves to give over to him in a way that makes us experience a simulation as if it's actually happening for real. There is no question at the time that it is real until he unlocks us from that telepathic hold, so that we can learn what we have learned, what we need to explore, what we need to discuss, so to speak, to again teach us the process necessary to make sure we do not cause damage to the civilizations we will contact.
So he's a very advanced Sasani consciousness.
Yes, a very advanced first contact specialist, yes. Now, one moment. It is also him and a few others like him that introduce us to new contacts, to new dimensions of experience. His mind is connected multidimensionally in a very unusual way and introduces us to those new dimensions and those new consciousnesses that may inhabit those dimensions. So he opens doorways for our civilization to other experiences of other realities as well.
So in general, the idea of humans being raised initially on planet Earth with the idea that this is the only reality and the things to focus on are having a great career or getting ahead, and all of these things keeps us very focused in a linear reality.
Yes.
And ET contact appears to have something more to do with the idea of like lucid dreaming, where you're able to shift into higher frequency states that you've forgotten about as a human.
Yes.
And that are now being reintroduced to us in a much more complete way to practice being able to exist and communicate on a higher frequency level that would be commensurate with contact with ETs.
Yes.
Would you like to add anything to that as a conclusion?
Only that it must be done carefully, cautiously, over time, as you are ready for it, because even though many would just think we're just these physical aliens walking around on another planet, we're much different than that. And a lot of the so-called psychic shock that would come from a too close interaction with our frequency is because it would put you in touch suddenly. And we know this may sound like something that you would prefer, but it would put you in touch instantly with a much larger picture experientially of yourself in multiple dimensions simultaneously. And if your psyche is not ready for that, it can fragment and fracture.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this information about the ET world. And I know next month, the title of the session that you've given to us is going to be called The Infinite Restaurant.
Yes, the Infinite Restaurant will be an exercise and an explanation to allow you, as we have just discussed, to begin to see from the oversoul perspective so that you can get used to the idea a bit at a time of how something on that level experiences itself multidimensionally. So it will be a fun exercise that will be one of the first steps toward experiencing your own reality from the viewpoint of your oversoul. So please join us for a delicious, energetic meal in the Infinite Restaurant.
Thank you so much, Tadeo. We do truly love you.
Our unconditional love to all of you as well. And now, please enjoy your exercise meditation.